Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this CNBC Africa Special. My name is Fifi Peters. If there is any city that loses sleep promoting itself as a tourism destination of choice, it is the city of Durban. Tourism is the lifeblood of KwaZulu-Natal, which is South Africa's second largest economy. But the sector is currently on a ventilator as the coronavirus has placed most tourist and hospitality activities on lockdown. To protect as many jobs as possible, the eThekwini municipality has launched the Durban's Virtual July Experience. This is a campaign that aims to promote the city of Durban and its attractions. It also wants to remind people of where to go as soon as the lockdown ends. It kicks off with the Vodacom Durban July, which is the biggest horse racing event in Africa, which will take place behind closed doors this year for the first time in its history that spans over a century. The initiative also includes initiatives to promote the fashion industry in the province, as well as the township economy and local enterprises. But here is a sneak peek of what I'm talking about.
At the start of the national lockdown, the travel ban put a damper on the plans of thousands of tourists. The advance from level 4 to level 3 meant South Africans could move around more, although crossing between provinces is still not allowed. The dip in tourism has had a negative effect on the value chain. Hotels and restaurants are at risk of losing close to 4 billion rand in revenue. The Albert Luthuli International Convention Centre had to postpone more than 85 events, losing 64 million rand in revenue between March and June, while Ushaka Marine World lost 50 million in the same period. Nevertheless, the COVID-19 crisis is opening the door for new opportunities. One of these opportunities is the behind closed doors staging of the largest and oldest horse racing event in South Africa. This for the first time in 123 years. The Vodacom Durban July is now offering racegoers a virtual experience.
Of course, many of you will be aware that the Vodacom Durban July weekend usually takes place on the 4th of July, but due to COVID-19, the race had to be delayed. And this was to ensure that all safety measures were put in place for the race to continue under the strict social distancing protocols. It's also given the event organizers time to put together the first ever virtual Vodacom Durban July that you and I can watch from the comforts of our own home. We're about to have a discussion right now that will unpack everything that you need to know about VDJ 2020, as it is called on the streets, and also what the Durban July Virtual Experience will mean for the eThekwini municipality. I'd like to introduce you to the panelists of speakers that I will be speaking to. His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda. Stephen Marshall, Events and Marketing Executive at Gold Circle. Philip Sithole, Deputy City Manager of Economic Development and Planning for eThekwini Municipality. Nosipho Diko Mnyaiza, Head Designer and Co-Founder of Nguni Shades South Africa. And joining us on Zoom is Chris Lazarus, Managing Executive at Vodacom. Well, let's head over to the Greyville Racecourse right now to show you exactly what it looks like in a COVID-19 world. Of course, some of you may have been. Some of you will be attending for the first time virtually this year. This is also where our panelists are currently seated, waiting to engage you on exactly what has been put in place to ensure that the Vodacom Durban July comes to you with the best and at the highest level of satisfaction that you are used to. And as we do go to Greyville Racecourse once again to see where our panelists are seated, one of the speakers I'd like to introduce to you first is the mayor, because you'll remember we were in conversation with the mayor this time last week when the eThekwini municipality recently unveiled its economic recovery plan. Restarting the tourism sector is the third pillar of that 9-point plan, and that plan is valued at R500 million. The city mayor, Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda, will now speak to us about the steps that will be taken to protect the sector and safeguard jobs. Mayor, thanks so much for your time. I suppose just an opening presentation from you and exactly highlighting, why it was so important for the city to launch this event at this time.
Thank you very much, Fifi, for having us in your program. Mr. Lazarus, Mr. Marshall, Ms. Mnyayiza, Mr. Stole, all the panelists who are present today, members of the media present, South Africans, and CNBC Africa viewers. Good day to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to welcome you all to this webinar as we officially launch the Durban Virtual July Experience. Today's launch marks a moment that ushers in a glimmer of hope, especially to the tourism and hospitality businesses, as the Republic of South Africa has recently eased level 3 lockdown regulations. We also remain hopeful that the economic recovery plan that we have launched, which we unveiled in April this year, will go a long way in assisting various sectors of our economy to recover and build people's livelihoods during the COVID-19 and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, the Durban Virtual July Experience is a concept that will promote the city's Durban and the attractions that the city has to offer, and remind people of what it felt like to be in Durban during the Vodacom July weekend, but also encourage our visitors, especially our locals, to explore what Durban has to offer after lockdown. Our campaign encompasses an integrated visual marketing plan of the city that includes radio, TV, and digital campaign as we highlight our wide range of tourism products and attractions. During this webinar, we'll unpack Durban Virtual July Experience, including what is on stock in the 2020 Vodacom Durban July VDJ, the biggest horse racing event in Africa. It is a call of the new normal that for the first time in the history, this annual premier event will take place behind closed doors. Such events form part and parcel of the eThekwini's destination promotion strategy to attract visitors to the city, boost the local economy, and put Durban on the global map. Moreover, the launch of Durban Virtual July Experience is one of the many other marketing initiatives that we have undertaken in recent times in order to give the much-needed impetus to our economic development endeavors. For us, the strategic intent is to rejuvenate Durban and KwaZulu-Natal's economy using one of the key economic drivers, like the tourism and hospitality sector, under the confines of the COVID-19 lockdown in anticipation of the relaxed leisure travel regulations in line with the risk-adjusted strategy. Program Director, among other marketing initiatives we have embarked upon to keep our brand alive as the city, has been the visual Know Your Durban campaign and visual excursions. We are undertaking these initiatives with a primary purpose of profile our city, to profile our city's hidden gems in order to promote domestic tourism, especially now that we have entered advanced level 3 lockdown in our country, which has seen some of our products and experiences once again open to the public. We have also done everything in our power to ensure that these products comply with these strict COVID-19 lockdown regulations in order to ensure that we provide our patrons with a safe and memorable experience in our city. Ladies and gentlemen, this message we are conveying today to our local and international visitors is that Durban is now open for business. And we appeal to all stakeholders to continue working with us in ensuring that we drive an inclusive economic development agenda in our city. Most importantly, as a city, we've taken a decision that radical socio-economic transformation must be the cornerstone of our programs. For this reason, we have put together an entertainment lineup that will focus on the various township and rural tourism establishments that we have in the city. With these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, let me once again welcome you all to this media launch and assure you that Durban is ready to deliver yet another memorable Durban Vodacom July this year. Welcome to our city. Enjoy our 2 seasons, summer and the summer. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Summer and summer, of course. Durban hasn't experienced the cold front that many of us have been experiencing in the other provinces here in South Africa. So there, right, once again, that was the Mayor of Durban really speaking to the importance of this campaign, which is trying to position Durban on the global map. I mean, Durban doesn't have to try too hard given the attraction of its warm temperatures. And of course, this is being done in anticipation of further relaxation of some of the lockdown legislations, especially as it pertains to leisure travel. We did see that business tourism was relaxed at the start of the month, but not quite enough to give the industry and the sector the boost that it needs. But in terms of boost, the Vodacom Durban July, of course, one of the oldest races that has been taking place all over the world, and certainly the biggest in the African continent. It is an important economic driver of South Africa's horse racing industry, and it also has the highest impact on tourism and socio-economic development in the city. And at this stage, I'd like to bring in Stephen Marshall, who is the events and marketing executive at Gold Circle, to tell us more about the innovation that has gone behind the historic move to make this year's race a virtual one. Stephen, over to you. I imagine that you have had many sleepless nights trying to put together this event, the first of its kind. Just tell us exactly what we should be expecting.
Thank you, Fifi. As you alluded to, this year's situation with the coronavirus pandemic has forced us into a number of pretty difficult decisions. The first one of those was to delay the running of this year's event from its traditional position on the first Saturday of July to the end of July. We're thankful that it didn't have to be pushed into a different month, into August, because the Vodacom Durban July in any other month would just be even more strange than the current situation. The second difficult decision was an obvious one now, but it was a socially responsible one, and that was to race this year's event behind closed doors and not have the 50,000 odd people here at Hollywood Bets Greyville Racecourse. We have decreased this year's number of races from 12 races to 10 races, so that we don't race into the night. It will be a day-only event. And the lead-up racing events will still take place, although they will be for broadcast only. Events such as the final field announcement, which is going to take place on Tuesday, the 14th of July at 1 p.m. That will be broadcast on Teletrack, that's channel 239 on DSTV. The final preparation gallops, which normally attracts quite a big crowd here to Hollywood Bets Greyville at 7 o'clock in the morning in the 10 days before the running of the Vodacom Durban July. Again, this year will be a broadcast-only event. And then we have the Vodacom Durban July panel discussion, which is brought to you by Hollywood Bets, Gold Circle and Teletrack. And that features the likes of 4 previous champions, 4-time champions of the Vodacom Durban July in Mark de Kock, the retired jockey Anthony Del Pesh, and Justin Snaith, who is the trainer of the 2 times defending champion Do It Again, who's looking to make this year a 3rd win in the Vodacom Durban July, and that's an unprecedented feat. The 4th person on that panel is Warren Kennedy, who is our South African champion jockey elect, and has been engaged to ride the ruling Vodacom Durban July favourite Rainbow Bridge. So all of those events will be broadcast-only events this year. From a fashion perspective, unfortunately, not even the postponement of the event this year has allowed for the Young Designers Awards to take place and to be finalized on Vodacom Durban July Day. However, it is still a massive part of the Vodacom Durban July fashion experience, and therefore we have postponed this program to August this year, and that will culminate in the winner being announced in another race day of ours, the Gold Cup race day at the end of August. The race day fashion this year will consist of 18 guest designers, so a limited package this year, but they will be showcasing their take on this year's theme, which is butterflies. for their race day fashion outfits. At home, we are encouraging our fans of the Vodacom Durban July to stay at home this year, but to still participate in the event by getting dressed up and taking part in the competitions, which will be available on social media. This year, probably 3 months ago, you would have thought it would be strange to see someone wearing a mask in public. Now you look, and if someone's not wearing a mask, it's very strange. So this year, Vodacom will be having a mask tutorials, which will be available on social media. I'm sure Chris Lazarus will unpack that a bit more later on in the show. The city has got behind fascinators and hats tutorials, which will assist the public to create their own hats, which can be added to their race day outfits. Again, everything being done from home. The third pillar of this event is entertainment, and our host broadcaster, DSTV, will be covering the event this year on SuperSport 4 and SuperSport 10. That's channels 204 and 210 on DSTV from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday, the 25th of July. This coverage will include races 4 through to 8, but will also include highlights of races 1 to 3 as well. The Vodacom Durban July this year is race 7, and it's scheduled to run at 3:10 in the afternoon. The theme of enjoying this year's event from home has prompted a collaboration between Vodacom, the City of Durban, and Hollywood Bets to stage the official Vodacom Durban July pre-parties and after-parties on Channel O, Channel 320 on DSTV. Again, a virtual experience which the public can enjoy from home. The pre-party this year will kick off at 8 p.m. on Friday night, that's the 24th of July, and the after-party will start from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock after racing on the 25th of July on Channel 320 on DSTV. All of updates for the event can be seen on our official Vodacom Durban July Facebook page, which is at Vodacom Durban July, and on our event website, www.vodacomdurbanjuly.co.za. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors for standing by this event during difficult financial times for what essentially this year is a broadcast-only event. Our title sponsor, Vodacom, our host city, the City of Durban, which really is the warmest place to be, our host broadcaster, DSTV, who have extended their broadcast this year, and the rest of our sponsors, TKZN, Tourism KwaZulu-Natal, Johnson Workwear, Hollywood Bets, Compendium Insurance, and Bloodstock South Africa, and our support sponsors in Schweppes and Gateway Theatre of Shopping. We look forward to what we hope will be a once-in-a-lifetime event this year, and we wish all our Vodacom Durban July fans well and encourage them to enjoy the event this year from home and to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, there receiving a round of applause from some of the guests that are there at Greyville Racecourse, where this production is also taking place. And Stephen, I just want to bring you back, if you don't mind, because we have seen quite a number of races taking place all over the world without spectators, abiding by the social distancing restrictions. But I'd like to find out from you, it's a great thing that many of your advertisers have still stuck to the race and stuck with you in these trying times. But usually how much would the Vodacom Durban July make in terms of money, and what are the expectations for this year?
Thanks, Fifi. Look, the expectations for this year is a bit of an unknown at this time. We know in the past the event or everything around the event has attracted in the region of 100 million rand from outside the province to the province, which is a substantial amount of money. We'll have to do our reports at the end of this year's event in order to find out what that figure will drop to this year. We expect it to drop for obvious reasons. We don't have all the people traveling down to the event, staying in hotels, flying down to Durban. But the opportunities that have been created this year by this pandemic that we find ourselves in is that many of the initiatives that we are getting involved in this year will become part of this event going forward. And so the reach of this event, we feel, will be expanded even after this year.
And just lastly, if I'm watching all the action from my living room and from my couch, how do I participate in betting on who I think the winning horse will be?
Fifi, the safest way is to do it online. As from the 1st of July, the betting shops were allowed to open with strict hygiene control and COVID-19 protocols in place. However, we would always encourage people to bet from home if they do want to bet. They can visit www.tabgold.co.za if they do want to take any bets on the feature race or any races during the day.
All right, thanks, Stephen, for all of that information. And Stephen, mentioning that quite a number of the advertisers remained on board this event, which is quite encouraging because we have seen many companies chopping the advertising budget, focusing on what is more important right now in these very difficult times. One of the sponsors that have chosen to stick with the Durban July is Vodacom, which remains the headline sponsor of the Durban July. And in fact, this is Vodacom's very first sponsorship event to be hosted since the start of the lockdown. And joining us to tell us why is Chris Lazarus, the managing executive from Vodacom. Chris, I see that Vodacom has a bias towards the horse racing industry.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the biasness to the horse racing industry, but I'm going to put it down that given my role as the representative for Vodacom in the KZN province, I'm going to say that it's more about the biasness to KZN. But I think on a more serious note, it really was a tough one, Fifi, as can be understood by every single South African and beyond, that companies like ourselves would have had to make tough decisions, not just in cutting back on advertising budgets, but also the thin line of walking between, do you support the call for everyone to stay locked down and not to create unnecessary reasons for people being exposed, but at the same time, do we, to His Worship the Mayor, and I'm sure other stakeholders we thank very much, the call for the fact that Durban is open for business, how do we walk that line between, yes, we want to support the President and all other asks in supporting the lockdown, but at the same time, how do we also support the fact that we want economies to be open, and specifically Durban, KZN as the second largest contributor? How do we put our skin in the game in terms of supporting that cause? So yeah, tough decisions, but I can tell you now, certainly as head of the province for Vodacom, super excited that we are able to continue in this historic event, even if we have to push beyond the boundaries. In fact, the fact that we're using technology for me to be a part of this, even when circumstances didn't allow, goes to show that, it is possible in the new normal.
No, definitely. And good thing you guys have recently launched a 5G. Of course, those of us who will be streaming from home will be able to watch it with, less disruptions and less buffering. How are those prices doing in terms of data falling even further?
Yeah, in terms of, I guess nobody from Vodacom is ever going to be allowed onto any kind of platform without pricing being somewhere in the middle of a question. But perhaps firstly, just to touch on, and I think again highlighting why KZN and the Vodacom July is so important. Yes, last year was the second year in a row that maybe members of the media would remember, and certainly audiences joining us today would remember, that we showcased the art of possibility in terms of 5G as a technology last year already, and then to our MEC of tourism that asked for support in bringing it back, and together with our partners Nokia, we were able to showcase that last year for the third time. And I can tell you now that 5G is alive, certainly in the province of KZN, even though we've chosen not to make a big noise about it, because at this stage the coverage is not ubiquitous and we can't promise 5G to everybody at the stage, but it's a rollout that's taking place every day and every month that goes ahead. So in time, like we've done with 4G, in that we cover 90% of the population today having access to 4G technology, from the most urban parts of our province right to the most rural parts of the province, which is largely really the the personal objective and the professional objective in making sure we don't leave anybody behind. But coming to you specifically, Fifi, in terms of pricing, this journey started last year already in the cutback on pricing that we've launched. I can tell you that specifically in KZN, there are about 500 towns or areas that are named amongst the sort of poorer and less privileged, and even places like that has got access to prices that is beyond the normal pricing that you see in the retail space. And again, that's in line with making sure that we don't leave anybody behind. And if I look at the amount of customers that have come on to the data journey, which we know is really the big buzz in being able to be connected today, that has grown substantially, almost to the tune of 500,000 more people. If I look at the reduction in the number of people that are now using a 2G phone versus people that are using what we call a smart device, that has certainly grown exponentially. And I think those are indicators for us. The fact that data traffic in the province of KZN has just gone through the roof. And not just in places like Umhlanga or the more urban areas, but even the most rural part of our provinces, Zululand and places in the Berg. And I think that bears testament to the fact that the reduction in pricing and making it more affordable is allowing people that whenever part of this online journey to be part of it. And I hope that there are lots and lots, millions of subscribers out there today watching this very event using data.
And Chris, I mean, not to put too much pressure on pricing. I'll let you know that, or I'll have you know that the minister did say that more spectrum is going to be released very, very soon. So that could make your jobs easier in terms of lowering prices. But I know that a lot of innovation has gone behind this year's event, and also in a very short period of time, because COVID-19 had all of us thinking on our feet and thinking very quickly. I'm just interested in how much of the innovation and the leaping towards the digital that this particular the Durban Vodacom July has taken, how much of this can be carried on into the future or into the new normal, as is the buzzword right now?
No, Fifi, a lot. In fact, everybody that's very involved in more the topic of digital transformation will say to you that there's been lots of theory as to what the driving forces and factors behind companies and people taking on more of a digital transformation adoption. And I can tell you now that we can say lots of things, but if we are to really be honest, it's really COVID-19 that's been the single biggest factor that's driven us towards that, because there's been no other choice. The fact that I couldn't be there in person today, but we had to use technology. The fact that this week, earlier on in Vodacom circles, we normally would have had our CEO's Vision 2025 strategy conducted, where about 400 executives would have been in a common place in Voda World in Johannesburg. And I can tell you that over 4 days, that entire event has been run using virtual technologies. Very much in KZN, the broader business team has hosted lots of webinars with customers from all types of industries in KZN, namely manufacturing, right down to some of the colleagues that run some of the biggest tourism businesses, some of the biggest hotels that, if I had to name, many of you would know that we're part of webinars in us finding ways of how do we face up to the challenges. So Fifi, absolutely, I can tell you now that a lot of what has started in the last 3 months is going to continue into the future. And notwithstanding that, if we look at what's happening with education, I'm aware of certain schools in the province, in Durban itself, that has pretty much taken on a online school, meaning that there are kids that will never need to physically go back to that school because their parents have chosen that they will study for the remainder of the year, and who knows, maybe for the remainder of their schooling career using virtual technologies. So yeah, this is very much to stay here. So this, I don't want to say that this has been good, because nothing about COVID is too good. But certainly from a technology standpoint, it has given us a good test case. Certainly for Vodacom, we've had to face days when we've seen 86% increases day on day in traffic. And I can tell you now, for those people that are technology savvy would know that you would have to have a very resilient kind of business and technology investments to ensure that you can withstand traffic and customer experiences of that nature. So yeah, really looking forward. There's no going back. There's no going back to yesterday. It's really just now pushing forward. And I can tell you there's very little that I can think of that's not possible in terms of using technology.
Right. Chris, I think a number of businesses would be quite excited to be reporting an 80% increase or so in demand for their services right now. But of course, we know that that is not the case because of COVID-19. Chris, coming back to you in just a moment, let's move things on, because over the years, the Durban Fashion Fair has cemented its place in the minds of fashion revelers and connoisseurs as one of the apex fashion gatherings in the country's fashion events calendar. And this year is going to be no different, COVID-19 or not. We have with us actually one of the beneficiaries of the Durban Fashion Fair, fashion entrepreneur Nosipho Diko Mnyaiza, who is the head designer and co-founder of Nguni Shades South Africa. Nosipho, I know that you've been in the industry for a very long time. You are probably one of those who'll say that this is the first time you're experiencing such an environment like we're currently living in with COVID-19. But just talk to us about your preparation and also, you know, what this theme of a butterfly or social butterfly means for you and some of the designs that will come from Nguni Shades.
Thank you very much, Fifi. This is a very exciting moment because we will go digital on platforms which will benefit everyone. To be a part of VTJ whether you are on rural areas or you are on urban. Now it is your time to be part of this. Even if you want to participate, you can participate because the more you post, the more you will trend. Then coming to the point of this year's theme, the theme is butterflies. When we talk butterflies, we talk vivid colors, we talk bright colors, we talk laces, we talk layers, because butterflies are beautiful creatures. Then, whatever you wear on the day, make sure it's in line with the theme of the day. Your mask, your fascinator, your outfits, whether you go avant-garde, whether you go your couture, whatever you do on the day. And the other thing I like about this year's Durban July is it will be a good platform for us because of this pandemic, COVID-19, because we'll be social distancing and there'll be no more traffic coming to the race course, and people will enjoy it at their comfort zone. The collaboration of us with the VTJ and DFF, it's also exciting because DFF has supported Durban designers to reach their dreams by introducing the local, which is national shows and international runways exhibitions. And Durban Fashion Fair, it's opened an Emporium shop in Mecca City and Amlazi. It also do marketing for designers, for their social platforms and the publicity they got from the DFF. DFF supported us in terms of they took most of the designers to Italy. There was an internship that was in Italy in 2013 where they took most of the designers there for 3 months, and they came up with a very good and sophisticated finishing from the Italians. Since everyone is aware that Italians are the best when it comes to clothing. We also benefited in the celebration of the DF Business Fair of 15 years because besides they support designers, they also give them work to do. And in their celebration of 15 years, they used the designers to design their uniform for celebration. It was in 2013. They also took part in mentoring some of the designers that are taking part in DFF yearly. And they also took part, we also took part in Africa Fashion London in 2017. And the Essence Festival in New Orleans when it was just beginning.
You've done quite a lot, and I can see that the Durban Fashion Fair has been quite supportive in your growth as an entrepreneur. And we're talking right now about the Vodacom Durban July innovating itself and making itself relevant in a digital world, in a COVID-19 world where there's things like social distancing and the like. I'm interested in your view as a fashion entrepreneur of the industry currently, and what you think your fellow peers in the fashion industry need to be doing right now to make themselves more relevant in a digital world.
I think, in fact, we are started to tap into this digital transformation because of this pandemic. Because as fashion lovers or any person, when you see something, you first look at it, you fell in love with the color, you touch, and then you feel. Now we're not going to feel anymore. We will buy from online. So the online is going to be the best part for each and every designer. But the pandemic, on the other side, it has killed the business because it was in the beginning of the pandemic. It kills in such a way that most of events have been cancelled. There are no more events, no parties, of which we used to make money out of that. Now, because we're starting this new thing to take part in the digital platform, everyone now is going to taking part and buy from online. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Nosipho, we'll be hearing from you again in just a moment. And, many people might be wondering why the city of Durban is continuing to spend so much money on entertainment and fashion when the money could be directed to the health sector. But what you will soon hear is the economic cost of not spending on the Durban Virtual July Experience. And this is in terms of jobs and also in terms of growth of that economy. And I'd actually like to hand over right now to Philip Sithole, who is the Deputy City Manager of Economic Development and Planning for the eThekwini Municipality, to tell us more. Philip, thanks so much for your time. I was actually quite shocked to see, what the cost of not going ahead with this campaign would be. Perhaps you can tell us a bit more.
Well, we as eThekwini Municipality, we understand that we are a coastal city, and tourism is one of our most important pillars in terms of jobs and the livelihood of people within Durban and KZN. So we were not going to fold arms because of the pandemic. And I think I need to stress the point that tourism is not in competition with all the requirements for people to stay healthy in as far as COVID-19 is concerned. But as people that are responsible for destination marketing, we have to continue to market the destination and continue to market the destination, because one day travel will be allowed and people will be allowed to move from one province to another province. So we have to tell the world what is available in Durban, so that as soon as we are open, we become the first choice. We become the first place to be visited by tourists that I'm sure they are very eager to come to Durban. But by not having a live Durban July, Vodacom Durban July, it means that the city is losing close to 400 million rand over one weekend. And this event normally creates close to 2,000 temporary jobs that are not going to be there this year. And over and above that, there are certain subsectors that rely on Vodacom Durban July, like the fashion, music, food, and so on. So as a city, we then decided to have the Durban Virtual July Experience, which talks beyond the horse race that happens here at Greyville, but it talks about many other aspects of the experience, which will include shopping, which include townships, which include other experiences within the city, because that's what makes the Durban July, a total package of the Durban July experience. So we believe that through this kind of an intervention, we'll remind people about where we come from, which is more than 100 years of this experience, and we'll be saying to people they must continue to enjoy wherever they are, and they must enjoy responsibly. And we'll be saying that come 2021, hopefully the pandemic would have gone down or not existing at all. We'll have our normal Durban July experience.
Deputy City Mayor, there are some questions coming through from the audience that is tuned in on the webinar. And the real question is around, the economic spin-offs of this particular event. And I do know that the city is doing quite a number of activations around the Durban Virtual July, the Durban Virtual July Experience, rather, from reviving the township economies to the SMMEs, to also involving the communities. But perhaps you can just paint a bit of color for the viewers on the economic spin-offs of this campaign.
Definitely, if you look, Fifi, at how we are marketing this event, it attracts more participation visually, where people will have also to play, as Gold Cycle have put, that the online services will be opened. But we are actually giving an opportunity to those who will be really displaying what they have to offer in the public, but using the visual so that they start putting orders. But many of the downstream sectors have been severely affected by this, but we are hopeful that they will be on gradual basis coming on board to recover, to recoup from where they left off. But it's important that people start really understanding that we have to adapt to this new normal of doing things, and that is the only way we can do now at the present moment during this COVID-19. So we are hopeful that Durban will also be having a space to market itself effectively and efficiently to all people as we are continuing with these visual experience programs that we are having, and also excavations that we are putting in place so that we market Durban as to what is it that we have to offer to our people during and beyond COVID-19. Thank you.
And just to bring the Deputy City Manager back in, Philip, one of the viewers is asking around COVID-19, particularly with the impact on the designers, because it has had a disastrous effect on designers' businesses and their financial situation. Apart from the opportunity to show, have the sponsors or the city assisted the designers to be able to participate?
Yes, the city has assisted the designers to participate on Saturday of the Vodacom Durban July. They will be part of the exhibitors, I think, after each and every race. So they will participate in that way. But our program goes beyond what will be happening here at Greyville. We've got a program that we call Durban Fashion Fair, which continues. That program assists the imaging. Part of it is to assist the imaging designers. So what will be happening after the 25th is that we'll be continuing with the program. We will be having online classes in terms of that particular program. We'll also, later on in the year, if COVID-19 regulations are relaxed, we intend to continue with the Durban Fashion Fair exhibition, which is combined with the Durban Business Fair. So we are not ending during the Durban July on the 25th. Our program continues, and we intend to intensify that program. We also, as part of taking the program to another level, we want the program to have presence in the regional shopping centers or in the regional shopping malls here in eThekwini, So our intention is to ensure that the program has a shop in each and every regional shopping mall. That is as part of access to market, to support designers and to support people who are in the fashion industry to access market. But beyond that, we also want to continue with our program, which Nosipo spoke about earlier on, of taking our fashion designers to the world, for them to participate in the New York Fashion Week, in the London Fashion Week, in Paris, and in many other platforms, including platforms inside the country. So our developmental program will continue. So we are excited that in as much as we have COVID-19, but we continue to work with people that are in the fashion industry. And we are not ending with people who are fashion designers. We want to come up with a very strong program when it comes to clothing and textile. So it is an integrated program which is part of our economic recovery plan.
Right, another question coming in from the webinar. What can be expected? And I think this question I'd like Stephen to answer. Stephen, some of our viewers are asking what can be expected and what are the benefits of this virtual event besides seeing horses running and some fashion designers showing unattainable garments no one will be wearing at home?
Thanks, Fifi. I don't know about the unattainable outfits. I think a lot of effort this year has been placed on creating outfits or encouraging people at home to create outfits themselves through tutorials which are available on our social media platform. As I alluded to earlier, the city of Durban have got behind a tutorial around the public creating their own fascinators and hats. Vodacom have got behind creating a masks and glamming up people's masks from home, which is an accessory which has become, part of our day-to-day wear. And I think that Chris Lazarus can actually elaborate more on that. So if you pass this on to Chris, because Vodacom have got a very innovative program which they have introduced with the masks. So from that perspective, we're encouraging people at home to engage with this year's event. But from a perspective, if you're looking at an overall perspective, there are a number of sectors which rely on this event, the Vodacom Durban July, and it's not just the horse racing sector. For horse racing, it is the pinnacle of the annual calendar. This race, and everything leading up to this race on the racing calendar supports a massive amount of people in the horse racing industry. But this event also plugs into the hospitality sector, the tourism sector. Yes, we understand that this year that those sectors are affected by not being able to have the people on course. However, the continuity of this event and having our sponsors continue to support this event means that the 124-year history of this event is going to continue into next year, and that there isn't going to be a missed year this year.
Let's head over back to Grable, where more questions are coming in from the floor.
Good afternoon. My name is Bosham Banami from Independent Media. So this is directed to Philip. A big part of the VDJ is the marquees and the parties. You've already alluded to, the plans for entertainment to happen, but also the big part of the marquees is the food, where some of the country's best chefs come to show off what's happening in the culinary world. So we have seen Pegasus Lounge announce that they have a special VDJ package for people to enjoy at home. Are there going to be more of that? Are there going to be more of the previous marquee owners who are going to be doing special packages for the virtual experience? And if not, had you not thought about how this would help the food industry be able to recoup their losses? Because we've seen so many restaurants have had to, limit their trading because of the lockdown regulations.
No, thanks I'm one person who always go to restaurants, and I've missed them. I've missed the restaurants when they were closed, and I know how it feels when there are no restaurants. But we are happy now that restaurants have been opened again. And I also like to go to Shisanyamas in the townships. And I'm happy that they are now open. And I think they were opened at the right time when they were opened at the right time when we are approaching the Durban July Experience. And I know that most of the township restaurants will be opened during that time. So I would like to encourage Durbanites and locals to go to those restaurants without mentioning names. People would know there are restaurants that are next to them in terms of suburbs that we have here in the city. So I would like to encourage people to go out on the 25th and on the 26th, go out and support restaurants. But as part of our program as Durban Tourism, we have identified a few restaurants where we will be doing activations. So some of the restaurants like Artisan, like Coastal in the south of Durban, like Max's Lifestyle, and many others, we will be having activations as part of supporting those restaurants. But over and above that, we also encourage the well-established restaurants. Some of them are now open to have packages. So the question was, am I aware of the packages that have been put together by restaurants? I know that some of the well-established restaurants, like restaurants at the Beverly Hills, which is a 5-star, and small restaurants which are in the townships, they've got special packages, and they are available to actually, when you place order, they can transport food to your doorstep. So I'm encouraging locals, not only in Durban, I mean in the whole of South Africa, that on the 25th and the 26th, when we have that food at the restaurant, you must remember the last time you were at Durban July, and you must use that experience of that day as a commitment to come to Durban July in 2021.
Mayor, just dovetailing off what Philip has spoken about in terms of the various activations that will be had and the number of restaurants that will be roped in and encouraging people to go to the restaurants. Perhaps you can speak to how you are encouraging this, but will be adhering by, the social distancing protocols to ensure that we don't have, too many people gathered in one place and then a situation whereby we've got COVID-19 cases in KZN ticking even higher. Just a question to the mayor there, who is observing all protocols by having his mask on. I think he's about to answer us.
Yes, firstly, this situation, Fifi, challenges all of us to do our business differently, to challenge the obvious, bring about new game changers, innovative ways of doing business, so that we can adapt to the conditions that are presented by COVID-19. So the new normal also presents opportunities that we need to leverage from. Of course, we are adhering to all lockdown regulations that the government has put in place to save the lives of the people. And it's important that all of us will adhere to that. Restaurants, all businesses that have been unlocked, they need to adhere to this, ensure that people who are getting to those places, they are being sanitized, and no one is allowed to enter without a mask, and we ensure that social distancing is always observed all the time. So we are looking at those opportunities, and people should really seize those opportunities during this period.
And we are soon coming to the end of the campaign and the launch of the Durban Virtual July Experience. And before we do end this broadcast, just some final words from the mayor to close us off.
Thank you very much, Fifi, and we want to invite all people to experience our Durban Visual Experience as we have put it when we opened and launched it. And we also wish to welcome everybody to look at how can you really participate during this period and also get the opportunities that are availed by these experiences. And we as a city, we have also conducted many activities, visual youth concerts during the Youth Month. The PRC has also held its own concert through visual as well as economic development. So we are actually responding to the aspirations and the needs for those who are in the creative industry to continue doing business even during this hardship that we are confronted with. But we as a city, we wish to appeal to everyone that let us respect, adhere to all lockdown regulations whilst we are enjoying ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And just some final more numbers on the socio-economic impact of tourism and this event. So usually when the city of Durban does spend on the Durban July, they spend around 300, or it contributes around 340 million rand to eThekwini's GDP and employs around 640 people. But if the city was not going to go ahead with this, what would actually happen is a net loss from the city of around 300 million rand of GDP and obviously a net loss in employment of 600. And I do believe the city is looking to spend around 13.8 million rand on the virtual events in 2020, which is, going to have quite a significant contribution to GDP in the form of 23 million rand and also employ around 40 people, which is great given the number of job losses that we are hearing taking place during this unprecedented time. But that is where we leave it for this very special CNBC Africa broadcast. And thank you so much for watching. And before I go, I'd like to thank my guests once more, sitting there at Greyville Racecourse, His Worship the Mayor Councillor Mxolisi Kaunda, Stephen Marshall, who is the Events and Marketing Executive at Gold Circle, Philip Sitola, the Deputy City Manager of Economic Development and Planning for eThekwini Municipality, and also Nosipho Diko Mnyayiza, the Head Designer and Co-Founders of Nguni Shades South Africa. And not forgetting, joining us via Zoom, Chris Lazarus, Managing Director at Vodacom. Chris, it was so difficult for us to see that you're on Zoom. The ambience there of your background makes us feel that you're there in the mix of things. But thanks so much for joining us. And thank you to you all who joined us on the webinar for tuning in. We really appreciate it. From myself, Fifi Peters, and the team here in Johannesburg, it is bye for now.